Hello. In the spring of the year here at Homegrown Veg in the United Kingdom, I moved my tomato plants up from yoghurt pots into these fabric bags. I uploaded a video that showed me doing that, and I'm going to dovetail that video into this video. But one of the things I hadn't considered at the time was, once I got these tomatoes in the greenhouse, how was I going to support them? Well, I've come up with an idea. I'm describing it as ingenious, but then I would do, wouldn't I? Because it's my idea. But what I'd done is I'd looked around YouTube to see how other people were supporting tomatoes, and I'd seen them supported with string, but I wasn't too sure how it was secured top and bottom. And so I had to put my thinking cap on. Anyway, I've came up with a system. It seems to be working okay for me so far, and I'm going to show you that system now. But before I do that, watch that video, then come back to me. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to move my tomato plants up from yoghurt pots into these fabric bags. What I'll do first is I'll tell you about the tomato plants, then we'll discuss these fabric bags, and then we'll discuss what's in the fabric bags. So this is one of my tomato plants growing in a yoghurt pot. Okay. I've grown these from seed indoors on a windowsill, and I've actually had them in homemade light tubes. I'll put you a screen grab of that up now. So those are the light tubes that I use. I find it makes the tomato plants grow that much stronger, and this particular one has just started to get a flower on it. So now's the time to move them up. If you want to know more about those free light tubes, I'll give you a link to a video. You might like to watch that after you've watched this video. So we're growing 5 varieties of tomato this year. I've grown them before. I'm growing Crimson Crush, I'm growing Big Daddy, we're growing Heinz 1350, we're growing Sun Gold, and we're growing Shirley. So those are the 5 varieties of tomato we're growing this year. Right, these fabric bags, I only just got these last year and grew in them for the first time, and they did well for me, so I'm going to give them another go this year. What I will say about them is, forget these numbers, that's something from a previous video I was doing, but these bags do discolour, in case you're getting them. These particular ones, the soil in them, when I harvested whatever I grew in them last year, and it might have been tomatoes, it could have been some other vegetable, the soil went straight back in the bags, and the bags have stood out over autumn and over winter. Now how long these will last, I've no idea, these fabric bags. All I'm saying is they've lasted me 1 growing season, and we're now going into our 2nd growing season, and they've stood outside full of soil through autumn and winter. And why did I do that? Because here at Homegrown Veg we like to do winter composting, chop and drop composting. I build the smallest compost pile in the world. If you haven't got much to work with, you've got a small garden like me, you might want to give it a go when autumn comes around again. I'll give you a link to that video as well. Okay, so what we got in there, I hope you can see this. This soil is basically garden soil that I've modified over the years by adding various things to it. There's probably some Coca-Cola in there from years ago. There'll be some peat in there from years ago. There's some sand in there. And the reason I say from years ago is because I don't buy any peat anymore, and I don't buy any Coca-Cola anymore. I've no need to. This soil just goes on and on. It just goes on and on. And what I do is, at the beginning of spring, where this has stood out over winter, I'll empty this out into a wheelbarrow and fortify it with some fertiliser. And this soil-based compost, I think I fortified with bloodfish and bone. Yeah, I'm fairly sure I did. So it's a soil-based mix. It's got bloodfish and bone in with it. Okay, so let's start move these tomatoes up into these bags. They're a 3-gallon bag, but as you can see, they're not full to the brim, so there'll be less than 3 gallon in those bags, but they're a 3-gallon bag. What's this? Let me show you this. I'm just going to screw this so the soil releases it and lift it out. It's just a yogurt pot buried in there. Now that has given me a perfect fit planting hole for my tomatoes. If I wasn't making this video, those 10 tomatoes, I'd have them potted up in 5 minutes tops. 5 minutes tops. Okay, let's do the first one. Here we go. We'll pop the ticket in there so we don't forget what it is. That's sun gold. Okay, we should just be able to squeeze this out like this, and hopefully there'll be a decent root ball for you to look at. Hope you can see that. That's the root ball. Hopefully it holds together. Yes, it has. Now we should be able to just drop this in. Perfect fit. Are you ready for this? One tomato planted. One tomato planted. I'll do a couple more while I talk to you, and then I'll do the rest, and I'll add a wee bit of background music, because you'll be sick of listening to me if I keep going over 10 tomato plants. Right, what we got here? Crimson Crush. Boom! Get in! Get in there, Morton! Boy, oh boy, I think I'm getting dafter. Right, what we got here? Oh, Shirley! How about that? We've got 3 different varieties straight off. Shirley. Hey, come on. 3 tomatoes planted. Right, I'll clear the decks. I'll do the remaining 7, but we'll put a soundtrack on, shall we? And then after that we'll wind it up. Okay, did you enjoy that? Right, just a couple of things before we sign out. Firstly, if you were counting, you know there's more than 10 tomatoes being moved up into these fabric bags on this video. There was 12. So we're going to grow 6 down each side of the greenhouse, and in back, hopefully, we're going to squeeze in a couple of cucumbers. Okay, so that was then. This is now. We're in the middle of summer. There's a couple of cucumber plants at the other end of the greenhouse that you're looking at. I don't know if you can see, but there are a couple of cucumbers on there, and that's a cucumber called La Diva. Now I'm going to try and pan down one side of the greenhouse now, and I'll tell you what we've got growing in each bag as we come to it. Okay, so in the bag furthest away we have a tomato growing in that called Shirley. In the bag next to that bag is another tomato plant called Shirley. So we have 2 Shirleys. The bag next to that, and that's probably in the middle of your screen now with a fairly big tomato on it, is a plant called Big Daddy. So that's Big Daddy. And then coming down from Big Daddy, and if we just go up slightly, you might see there are some fairly sizable tomatoes on that one. That's a tomato called Heinz 1350. Right, just come round here, and that's a tomato called Sun Gold. It's a cherry type tomato, very sweet, and these are the first tomatoes to ripen in the greenhouse this year. And if we come right to this end, nearest the camera, this is a tomato called Crimson Crush. Okay, so while we're here, let's just dwell a moment, and you'll see a bamboo lying across the 2 bags. In fact, that bamboo is threaded through the handles of the bags, so you could not lift that bamboo out, you could not pull that bamboo out vertically. So if I tie strings to it and pull it up, it ain't coming out. And neither would I be putting any stresses or strains on the tomato plants. The load would be taken by that bamboo. Now let's have a look along, because I actually threaded a bamboo through all the handles of all the bags for the length of the greenhouse. And just while we're at it, the other side of the greenhouse is actually roughly a mirror image in terms of what I'm growing to the side you're looking at. Okay, so where we've got a tomato plant growing in each of those bags, I've tied a string. I've taken that string up to the underside of the greenhouse. Now we'll have a look up there now, and I'll show you how I've tied that off. So we're going to follow Big Daddy from the bag to the roof. And I'm hoping that you can actually see the string around the growing stem of Big Daddy. And that's where the support is. Okay. And here we are up in the roof, and I hope you can see that, but the string's tied off to a bamboo. Now you're saying, well, how have you fixed that bamboo to the underside of your roof? Well, I'm going to show you that as well. Give me a minute. So the diagonal you're looking at is one of the roof trusses. It's one of the members that goes from the side wall to the apex of the roof. I've simply run these bamboos from end to end, and everywhere it's crossed one of those members, I've clipped it to the member. I've just used a nut and bolt, and I'm not too sure, a little bit of strapping that I had, and I've fixed it to the underside. So that bamboo that you're looking at goes the length of the greenhouse, and everywhere it crosses one of those struts, it's fixed. And so coming off that bamboo along the length of the greenhouse are 6 strings that go to the bamboos that run along the base, sitting on top of the bags and through the fibre handles. They all pull tight, and so there's no stress on the tomato plant. What do you think? Looks as though it's working. I hope you've enjoyed the update. This is Homegrown Veg, signing out.